What's going on, guys? Welcome to another live Tales from the Comments episode. Today, we are going to be talking about your guys' comments from the Civil War II video we did, Iron Man versus Captain Marvel, as well as the Hulk Hogan Super Suits. Let's get right into it. Alright guys, first and foremost, we are going to be responding to your guys' live comments right now, so you guys in the chat, start leaving some good comments, some good feedback about these issues, what you think, and we'll get to it right at the end of this video. But also, spoiler alert, because we are going to be talking about Civil War again, so if you're not entirely caught up with that, with the first 3 issues, and some of the tie-ins, probably don't watch this until you're caught up. First thing I do want to bring up is the polling results that I put at the end of the video. I had you guys vote for whose side are you on, Iron Man with let's not mess with the future at all, versus Captain Marvel, who says, well, if we have the power to interfere and save lives, then we should. And this really surprised me because 76% of you guys were Team Iron Man. 13% said, I don't know, which is a fair thing to say, and only 10% said Captain Marvel, which is weird to me, because that only adds up to 99%. But also because I knew Iron Man was going to win, I just didn't know he was going to win by that much, and it makes me feel like I didn't accurately describe Captain Marvel's side that well, or maybe, I mean, according to you guys, maybe she's just completely wrong, objectively wrong in every sense. But I do want to bring up some criticisms that people had of Captain Marvel's side, which is Ben Crabtree, for example, says that he's 100% Iron Man because, as we can see in the comics already, doing the whole pre-punishment route, trying to interfere with the future, has already killed a lot of heroes. It's killed War Machine and Hulk and maybe She-Hulk even. So, yeah, maybe not interfere because that could cause way more problems. But the problem I have with this argument is that Ulysses saw, like, the end of the world, and they went and interfered, and they stopped it. So if they didn't interfere, if they didn't, go and pre-punish people before the atrocity happened, then the entire planet would be destroyed, not just 3 heroes. So I think you have to weigh, like, what's kind of more important there, and I would think that we would say the fewer lives taken, the better, but, I mean, that's all your opinion as well. Richard Howe, I want to point out this guy, leaves an amazingly lengthy comment that is absolutely worth a read. It's so good. And he brings up something that a lot of you guys actually talked about, which is maybe not pre-punishment, but rather just deterring a crime from happening. Right? So, to give an example, like, say someone is going to rob a bank. We don't have to go and arrest them right now and, punish them for the crime that they didn't commit, but rather what we could do is call the cops ahead of time, call the bank ahead of time, clear out any civilians who might get endangered, and, double the security, and just kind of wait. And if that person does attempt to commit that crime, then we've at least created a scenario where as few people are going to get in harm's way as possible, and then after they've committed it, we just, or after they've attempted it rather, that's when we punish them, because then we know for a fact that they had the intent, they were actually going to do it, and it's not just a vision of a possible future. Which I think is a totally great point to make, and something I should have argued more with Captain America's side, because I think, to me, that's almost, it seems like a winning argument to me. Maybe not punishing someone, but just preventing a crime. And he also brings up something that's really interesting, which is crimes of passion, too. So, for example, someone could ruin their entire life just by one moment where they lose control and maybe kill someone or do something terrible. And if we had the power to intervene, to change the circumstances so that that doesn't happen, then that person could live a normal life, paying taxes, doing their job, and they might actually thank us for intervening so they don't ruin their entire lives ahead of them, which is a fantastic argument to make. I really wish I included that in the first video. Thank you so much for writing that out. And I do want to point out that if you agree with this, then you're not Team Iron Man anymore, because he is all, let's not interfere with the future at all, in any capacity, let the future happen, how it's going to happen. So yeah, it's a great argument for Captain Marvel. I do want to bring up one more comment from this, which is Debashish Mahapatra, I'm sorry I'm pronouncing that name wrong, who talks about, well, surely we've all thought about doing something wrong. Surely we've all had feelings and maybe thoughts of just, I could totally rob this place. I want to kill this person because I'm so mad. But is thinking about it really does that warrant being punished for? And this is something that's brought up actually twice in the comics already, which is the first kind of court case that opens with She-Hulk defending her client, and she's talking about how the client only thought about it, he only talked about it, and we should have the freedom of thought, even the bad thoughts. We should at least have the freedom and the right to think those thoughts, even if we never act on them. And it's also brought up again in a Miss Marvel comic where she chases down a bad guy who's about to rob a store, I think, and he's like, but how did you know? I only thought about it. I never talked about it with anyone. It was just in my head. So that introduces a whole other element to this, whether, we can judge someone based off of, their thoughts, whether we say, if you're thinking it, then that's enough, that warrants enough for me to want to arrest you, to detain you, to punish you in some capacity, or whether we have to wait until they actually go through with it. So, good stuff. One last comment from this video, which I thought was so funny. It comes from mangamegs, who, is kind of sad about Hulk dying, because Hulk dies in issue 3. Spoilers again. And it's immediately followed by Rowe's SKERRETT, who says, yeah, but he'll probably be around for Thor 3 Ragnarok, right? Whenever that movie comes out, they're going to introduce him right back into the comics, which is, I guarantee you, that is definitely going to happen. That is 100% accurate. Let's move on to the Hulk Hogan Super Suits video that Joel did a couple days ago. Starting with Niko Miller, who writes a comment about, kind of confused about how trademarks work. If you just name drop a character in a other work, do you have to, pay Marvel if you mention Hulk or Iron Man, or pay DC if you mention Superman, all that stuff? And no, you don't have to, or else I would be completely out of a job. I'd have to pay them every time I mention one of their characters. But really, what it is I think it's more about advertising, right? So if you have Hulk Hogan, who's using the name Hulk to advertise, wrestling matches, or his brand of whatever he's making, Pastamania, I don't know if that's a real thing, you have to, you're using the name that Marvel has already established with the character of Hulk, so you do have to pay them because they don't want you to mooch off of their success for your own success. And that's kind of what happened here with this deal, is Marvel saying, you can license the name from us, but if you just went about saying, hey, I have this new Superman comic book, and you don't get DC's permission at all to do a Superman thing, then yeah, you could probably be sued for that. I'm not a lawyer though, but that's just kind of my understanding of it. This last comment comes from Mr.Appleranch, and it's so good. So there was a falling out apparently between Marvel and Hulk Hogan, to a point where he couldn't use or didn't want to use the name Hulk anymore, so he created another persona called Mr. America. Check this picture out right here. Tell me that's not the best thing you've ever seen. It's a 100% Captain America ripoff. I almost feel like, in spite of Marvel, just kick that, Marvel. If I can't use Hulk, I'll just create my own America hero to rival your Captain America hero. And I feel like there was probably a falling out after that, a further falling out, if you will. So that's gonna do it, I think, for the comments this week, guys. Let's actually dive into the live chat and see what you guys are saying. Let's see here. Yeah, DC bought characters from Vertigo into their mainstream universe. Yeah, but that's after they bought them as well. So licensing stuff. Everyone's loving the Mr. America thing. It's so good, guys. It's so good. I feel like there should be, this comes from Nathan Mahoney, I feel like there should be certain guidelines to pre-punishment. It has to be something more than a common thief, which is interesting. So you're saying that, if it's just robbery, if it's a non-violent crime, like burglary, right, which is a non-violent way of robbing somebody, then you'd say that's probably fine. No one's actually getting hurt. But if it is something that hurts other people, then maybe that's justifiable to interfere, which is interesting, because then we get into kind of having to weigh the pros, weigh each crime, what crime is better or worse or more, can we be more lenient on than other crimes? Yeah, I don't know if I would have an answer to that. I'm sure, that would probably be a good way to go about it, but I feel like that also does present its own set of challenges as well. Ulysses is not, this comes from Adam Durzinski. Ulysses is not Dr. Manhattan. He could see alternate events happening in many futures. So, yeah, a great point. Like, this is something that Iron Man brings up again, which is that we don't really know how Ulysses' powers work. They just predict possible futures, not what's actually definitely going to happen, but just something that could happen. And so far, it seems like the things that haven't happened yet, but we'll see as we continue on with the story. Let's see what else we got going on here. Ooh, a lot of comments coming in here. Hulk Hogan versus Marvel and DC. Oh, Hogan would win. Look at those pythons, man. So good. What team am I on? This comes from Banana Split. This is a really great question. I don't really know. I'm in the I don't know camp, and I hate that because I really like to pick a side and just defend it and argue it until till someone argues me wrong, and then I change sides. But I don't really know. I feel like I'm more leaning towards Captain Marvel, only in the sense of how, deterring crimes, not necessarily punishing people before they do it, but like intervening before a crime can turn violent. I think that's the best way to go about it. And maybe we do have to do, judge each crime independently of one another and say this is the one we should worry about the most, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, I feel like I am leaning more towards Captain Marvel. Dylan, over there. Whose side are you on?
Probably Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel as well?
Yeah.
Oh man. All right, we're all Captain Marvel in this place. Oh man. Let's maybe answer one more question here. Let's see. So many comments. Yes. My thoughts on what? Mosaic? No. Who's Mosaic, guys? I don't know who that is. I'm an idiot. Anyway, I think that might actually do it for today. Thank you guys. Yeah, cool. Thank you guys so much for joining another live event. I had a lot of fun with it, and we're going to be doing another one of these again next Monday, so look out for that for more of your guys' comments. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. And I think with that said, we'll see you guys on Wednesday for another episode of Comic Misconceptions. I'll give you a sneak peek. It's about a certain female Suicide Squad character that everybody loves. And we'll also have a video on Friday as well. So look forward to that, and I'll see you guys next time for another live Tales from the Comments. See ya.